we've covered all of like the supine, prone, up, down, side, rolling. Now we're going to get our patient into sitting. So generally, you can come into side lying near the edge of the bed. So again, setting yourself up so the patient is pretty close to the edge here. Generally, the way I do the bed mobility for getting into sitting is pretty similar to if they had spinal precautions. Unless they're able to do more on their own, then it's going to look a little different. Basically, we're going to use the weight of the legs dropping to assist bringing her trunk up. This is where the difference is. If there's spinal precautions, you're never really letting the feet drop to actually pull on the trunk, because then you're getting flexion, lateral flexion in the side here. The bed's a little low for me, but I'm just gonna do it anyways because it'll make it easier for me to get her seated with her feet on the ground. That just means I'm gonna have to get lower. Practical, I would recommend probably have the table up a little bit for your body mechanics, and then just lower the table down. Once your patient is sitting, absolutely cannot take your hand off, especially if their feet aren't touching the floor, but regardless, you should really always have your hand on your patient. So we'll talk about, like when we're getting into transfers, making sure the wheelchair is close enough, having your gait belt ready. But as far as the actual skill goes, I'm gonna get under kind of like her neck here. I can, again, grab up her trap. That gives me some room to get under here. And then as far as the legs go, I'm going to drop her legs off and bring her up. Wow. She didn't really help too much. She used her arms a little bit. We would cue her to use her arms if she's capable. But again, if I had a completely dependent patient, go ahead, come on back down. I would need to be super snug with my patient here. I'm going to keep her really close. Don't do anything to help me this time. I would actually probably just cross your arms so that there's no limbs flying around. And then again, dropping the legs makes it pretty easy as far as bringing the weight up goes. And look at that, the height of the table was perfect. Her feet are touching. She's actually a little forward towards the edge. Do you feel like you could slide forward off the bed?
Yeah.
She's actually doing that. So what I would do here is I would bring my knees here, bring yourself forward. 1, 2, 3. She helped me out a lot. But rocking her forward to unweight the bottom and then using my tibias on hers to push her back is usually the easiest way to go. I could even kind of come through here instead, and now I have, come forward, we're gonna get snug, you're totally independent. And now I have a little bit more control at her hips as well. So that is your side lying to sitting. Anything to add there? Any ways you do it differently?
No, not with this was with spinal precautions.
Not necessarily. That's just generally how I will always.
Yeah, if your patient's not completely dependent, they can definitely help themselves up by pushing.
Correct.
You can do the dropping of the legs first.
Yeah, so sometimes you can do this.
Hips,
and then you can pull through here.
As they're pushing for spinal precautions.
Not for
No,
spinal
not.
precautions. This would 100% be not spinal
more of an
precautions, because
independent.
now you're using the tension here. So you're getting lumbar lateral flexion. Whereas if there are spinal precautions, I need to drop her legs, not have her twisted at all like that. And then it's at the same time. So that's a little bit more work for me if I'm moving everything together. If I'm letting the legs drop a little bit more, the weight of the legs is helping. And then it's just the opposite to get into bed. You're dropping your trunk down. That's helping bring up the legs. I'm keeping her nice and close. So again, if your patient's totally dependent, you guys should basically be like hugging. If she has BO, I should know. And then if you're a little bit more independent, you can bring, your elbow here, you can bring your opposite arm here to help push, and bring your legs down. And I'm just kind of guiding her here, making sure she doesn't fall. Again, it might be a surgical patient. She might be woozy as we come up here. Patient, are you doing okay?
Yes.
I would grab my gait belt, put it on. go ahead and lie back down, get back to the middle of the bed. If she had a hip surgery, let's just go knee surgery. Say she had a total knee replacement. Generally, they're not going to be doing a total knee replacement on someone who isn't functionally like adequately strong to be able to like upper extremity strength to use a walker. Other legs should be good. So now if you're doing pretty good, patient, you're going to, this would be her affected leg. I would be on the affected leg side. And you use your arms to bring yourself up into a semi, let's say up position. And then I'm just going to guide your leg. And then you can scoot forward. And then I would want your leg to be resting down but not flex too much. And that's my bed mobility for a total knee patient. Unless there was some, excessive response to surgery and she was just not feeling good, not able to help as much. So if that's your case on the practical, your bed mobility is a lot easier. What tends to happen is when people get a total knee replacement case, the brain kind of shuts off sometimes because you're like, oh, there's way less for me to think about, and then the body mechanics lifting the leg are weird, and people tend to lose points because they just don't do things that are easier to do, but the brain kind of shuts off.
So you'll tell us what injury they have.
There will be like